Today, we will start episode 11 from Surah An-Nissa. It starts from verse 101, which says, "And when you travel throughout the land, there is no blame upon you for shortening the prayer if you fear that those who disbelieve may harm you. Indeed, the disbelievers are ever to you a clear enemy." Here, actually, back in the days of the Prophet and all that, people used to travel a lot. The winter and summer journeys, their main occupation was trade, aside from all the advances, retreats, and battles and all that. They used to trade, going to the Levant to bring goods, and coming back from the Hijaz to take things to the Levant, and things like that. So this striking means when you travel throughout the land, meaning if you travel in the land, there's no problem for you to shorten the prayer. Why? Because travel is a hardship. That's the whole point. It means you make the 4-unit prayers into 2, like Dur and Asr, for example. And Isha you make 2, and the 2-unit prayer you make into 1. And so, you shorten the prayer. What does that mean? This was one of the things they asked about. What is the reason for the revelation of this verse? Notice, where does the verse start from? It starts from the ground, it starts from the human, not from God. Keep in mind, and we've said this many times in Surah Al-Baqarah. By the way, here are the merchants. I'll start now with the reason for the revelation. The merchants ask the Prophet, "We travel a lot on the land, or we travel a lot for trade." So the verse was revealed immediately, shining right away. And notice here, that's why this connection was made. I must have talked about this a lot in Surah Al-Baqarah. But unfortunately, I have to repeat it. Here, there was a connection between the earth and the sky. Between God and the human, and between the human and God. The verses and the Quran would start with the human's action first, then God second, meaning God came after the human. Take note of that. So, the merchants asked the Prophet, "We travel a lot, we are often on the road, so how should we pray?" The verse was revealed, and if the merchants hadn't asked the Prophet this question, it wouldn't have been revealed or appeared. Let's say, the verse wouldn't have appeared. All right. So that's the reason for the revelation. It was a question from the merchants. Now, how was the recitation done? This verse used to be recited without, "if you fear," without those words. Who used to recite it like that? So, how did Yubay ibn Kabi recite it? He used to recite it like this. "There is no blame upon you for shortening the prayer, that the disbelievers might trouble you, without, if you fear, that the disbelievers might trouble you." Just like that. Straight away. That was the recitation. Very good. That's number 2, 3. What does the verse mean? It means if you travel, if you journey through the land, there's no problem for you, no blame, no sin, nothing wrong. That you shorten the prayer, that's fine, from 4 to 2, and from 2 to 1. And so on. You're doing very well. Yes. That's if you're afraid that the disbelievers might kill you while you're praying or something. All right. So, who is it then? Because, of course, when they were traveling, they used to pray, and it was possible that the disbelievers were lying in wait for them somewhere or something like that. As soon as they start praying and leave their weapons, like their swords and all that, the enemies would attack them and kill them. So, it was said, don't shorten the prayer, just pray as usual. What's the source? Majma al-Bayan by Al-Tabarsi. Alright. Honestly, here I personally feel comfortable with this verse, and here's why. Because the Quran put the human being before religion, before obligations, before rituals, before prayer. I mean, you are the most important thing. You, the human being, come before religions. And honestly, in my view, a single human being is more sacred than all religions. Alright. 102. Because the human is an image of God on earth, because he is the one who said it. The one who said, "So when I have fashioned him and breathed into him of my spirit." So the human is the spirit of God. That's the point. So you really need to pay attention to this. Because jurists, religious figures, and others belittle the human being, the human is nothing. The human is an image of God. The human is the spirit of God and God's representative. That's the point. Anyway, 102. God says to the prophet, if you are among them, if you are their leader, if you are leading them in prayer, that's great, that's really good. And if you are among them and you establish prayer for them, that's perfect. If you are with them as their leader and you lead them in prayer, that's perfect. So what happens then? Then, let a group of them stand and pray with you. A group prays with you. That's good. And let them take their weapons. Then, when they have prostrated, let them move to your rear. And let another group who have not yet prayed come and pray with you, and let them be on their guard and take their weapons. Those who disbelieve wish that you would neglect your weapons and your belongings, so they could attack you all at once. But there is no blame on you if you are harmed by rain or if you are ill, to lay down your weapons, but take your precautions. Indeed, Allah has prepared for the disbelievers a humiliating punishment. In short, that's the matter. If you are leading them in prayer, O Muhammad, take a group behind you to pray, a squad. That is, divide yourselves into two groups. One group prays behind you, and the other stands guard. Those who finish praying go to stand guard, and those who are guarding come to pray behind you, and that's it. That's the verse. Here's its explanation in simple terms. You don't need to say much more or anything else. Let's say the first group. Let's call them Group A and Group B. Group A prays behind the Prophet, alright, and Group B stands guard. After A finishes, they go take the weapons from B and stand guard, and B prays behind the Prophet. I don't think it gets any easier than that, really. The truth is, what's the reason for the revelation of this verse? The reason it was revealed is that right after this verse, the revelation stopped. Alright, and then, a year later, the Prophet went on a campaign. He led a campaign, but for safety, they didn't say which campaign it was. After this verse, as I told you, the revelation stopped for a while, alright. And after a whole year, the Prophet led a campaign, and it went very well. He led the Muslims in the Dur prayer, and the disbelievers were talking to each other, saying, wow. So they said, look, they're praying and have their backs to us. Why don't we attack them and finish them off while they're praying and unarmed? But another one replied and said, no, chill, there's another group. Are they guarding this group? That's the idea, basically. So, are they all praying like that? No, there are people standing guard, but we can't see them. There are other people standing with weapons. If we get close to them, they'll finish us off. Then the verse was revealed. First, the prayer started. Second, the conversation among the polytheists. Third, the verse came down from the sky. That's how it went. It's clear. See, the verses of the Quran would come after people asked questions. That's it. It's clear now. So anyway, when he told him, no, there are people protecting them from behind and all that, the verse was revealed. Alright, there's another part, another reason for revelation, but for a different part of the verse. The story about if you are suffering from rain or are ill. This specific part of the verse was revealed about Abdurrahman ibn Awf because he was wounded. He had an injury. So what does that mean? Who says that this part was revealed about Abdurrahman ibn Awf? It's Ibn Abbas, clearly. So there is a reason for the revelation of the whole verse, and a specific reason for this particular part. It's clear. All right, very good. So, as we said, I don't need to repeat the meaning again or anything. Why is that? Just to save time, that's all. Here is the source. So, who is the source? It's Fath al-Qadir by al-Shawkani. Alright, now honestly, there are a couple of questions here. Honestly, the verse is giving a warning. Yes, it's a command for Muslims to be cautious, meaning, don't put down your weapons while you're praying, and be on your guard while praying. Why is this warning repeated twice in the verse? What's the wisdom behind repeating the warning twice? That's one, and two. Does the shortening of the prayer mentioned in the verse apply to the Muslims whom the Prophet led in prayer in verse 102, or does it not apply? If you lead them in prayer, if you are among them. Isn't that what he says? And when you are among them and lead them in prayer. But he didn't say, be on guard, hold weapons. So, will they shorten the prayer or not? Honestly, I didn't understand this part. On one hand, it says, if you are afraid, then shorten the prayer. And then, it tells me, be on your guard, twice. And yet, it doesn't say to shorten the prayer. So, will they shorten the prayer or not? The people with the Prophet. That was the question. The third question, honestly, is, what does the part about God has prepared a humiliating punishment for the disbelievers have to do with the topic of the verse? The verse is a warning to Muslims to stay alert while praying and not to feel safe around the polytheists and so on. All of this is so they don't get attacked all of a sudden, like, in one go, they could all be killed. So, what's the connection between God has prepared a humiliating punishment for the disbelievers and the verse's topic? Verse 103 says what? When you finish the prayer, finish it in fear. Once done, and you've gone home. Yeah, then you can pray the regular prayer. That's it, all good. So when you have finished the prayer, remember God while standing, sitting, and lying on your sides. Then when you feel safe, establish the prayer. Indeed, prayer has been decreed upon the believers at prescribed times. The meaning of this, very simply, is that when you finish this prayer of fear, where one group is standing guard, the group that was mentioned in verse 102 before, and you return to your homes, and the fear has passed and safety has come. Then pray 4, complete the prayer as 4 rak'ahs, 4 by 4, and likewise, 3 as 3, and 2 as 2. That's fine. So, for the resident, for rak'ahs remain 4, and for the traveler, it's 2. That's fine, for the traveler on a regular journey, no problem. So, that's it. I have no questions about this, and I feel reassured. Yes, go back to your normal state, as they say, no shortening. Very good. The source here is Al-Farizabadi's Quranic interpretation. Alright. 104. And do not weaken, and do not falter in seeking out the people. If you are suffering, they are suffering just as you are suffering, but you hope from Allah for what they do not hope for. And Allah is all-knowing, wise. The meaning of this verse is, do not become weak in pursuing Abu Sufyan and his companions, the polytheists, for battle. Do not weaken, challenge them and seek them out for combat. And keep in mind, this was after the Battle of Uhud. Those words, it was a very humiliating event. The Battle of Uhud was a tough blow for the Muslims. No. Do not weaken. Do not become weak in front of the polytheists. Seek them out for battle. Very good. But why is that? Why is he telling them, if you have been wounded at Uhud, then they have also been wounded. The polytheists were hurt as well. Sure, they defeated you, but they also have wounded, they have their own problems, they lost people and things like that. So you, too, should seek them out for battle and teach them a very good lesson. Absolutely. So the important thing is, the source here says that this message, the message in this verse, is directed at the Muslims during the Prophet's time and to all Muslim fighters until the Day of Judgment. You get it? For them and for the Muslims who will go on campaigns until the Day of Judgment. As long as you're fighting, call your counterpart and say, "Come, let's fight, that's how it is." Absolutely. So what is this? That was the situation. They were wounded, and they won't get anything in the hereafter. But you were wounded too, but you'll get your reward in the hereafter. That's the difference. Both of you are wounded, but they're headed to hell and you're headed to paradise. And the reward, according to the verse, is paradise. Exactly. Who's the source here? Bar al-Yalom. We just went through it. Honestly, it's good. So, what is he saying as well? Look, I'll read you the verse again too. So, what is he saying? He says, "And do not weaken in pursuit of the people. If you are suffering, they are suffering just as you are suffering, but you hope from God what they do not hope for." At the end, it says, "And God is all-knowing, all-wise." So, God is all-knowing, all-wise about what? I don't get it. These endings at the end of Quranic verses, most of the time, I just don't see the connection. And it says, "And God is all-knowing, all-wise." I would understand if the disbelievers were questioning God's knowledge, and then this came in to say, "And God is all-knowing, all-wise," that would make sense. But here, he's telling them to stand up to the disbelievers and call them to battle to get your rights, and then leave them. And God is all-knowing, all-wise. All-knowing, all-wise about what? God is absolute in knowledge, power, and will. I'm talking about all-knowing, all-wise in the verse context, not in the absolute sense. No, I'm talking about the verse, from the healing. That's the issue, really. Okay. Yeah, 105. Indeed, we have sent down to you the book in truth so that you may judge between people by what God has shown you. And do not be an advocate for the deceitful. Here, there are two opinions regarding the reasons for revelation. The first opinion is that there was a man named Tuma. Remember that name. Tuma ibn Abarak. We'll just call him Tuma to keep it simple and not make the name complicated for you. Alright, this Tuma ibn Abarak went and stole from his neighbor, Qatada ibn al-Numan. Who was his neighbor? Qatada ibn al-Numan. Our guy Tuma noticed, or felt, or saw, that there was a really nice shield. He set his sights on it. With whom? With Qatada. Where was Qatada keeping the shield? In a sack of flour. He was hiding it too, afraid that a thief might get to it. Who was he worried about? Tuma. Tuma waited for the right moment, made sure he was out of the house, then went over, took the sack. What was inside it? The shield. Where did he take it? To the house of a Jewish man. He didn't take it to his own house. The important thing is, the shield had made a hole in the sack, so the sack was leaking flour all the way to the Jewish man's house. Got it. That Jewish man's name was Zayd ibn al-Samin. So, Tuma stole. He stole from Zayd ibn al-Numan, and then who did he leave it with? Tuma took it to the house of the Jewish man, Zayd ibn al-Samin. So the sack basically drew a trail from al-Miqdad's house all the way to Zayd ibn al-Samin's house. The Jewish man, right. Anyway, our guy al-Miqdad came back home and didn't find the shield. So he raised a fuss. Who did he go to? So, why did they go to Tuma? When Tuma put the shield at Zayd ibn al-Samin's place and went back home, they found him covered in flour, and they also found traces of flour in his house. They said, so it must be him. He told them, by God, I don't have it, I didn't steal it, and I haven't seen it. They left him and started following the trail. Yeah, the trail of spilled flour, until they reached Zayd ibn al-Samin. They told him, come on, confess, you're the one who stole it. He said, I didn't steal it. Who brought this shield here? It was our guy Tuma, exactly. Anyway, sir, when they met our guy Tuma, she got all worked up and said, Tuma, our son, didn't steal, and she took him and ran away. What do you think happened next? They defended him, and even the Prophet himself stood up for him, you see, and they ran off with him. So, who did the Prophet want to carry out the punishment on? On the Jew. Why? Because they found the shield with him. You get it? Anyway, the Prophet wanted to carry out the sentence, cutting off the hand of the Jew. Then the verse was revealed. So, the story actually happened on the ground. It started out as an issue among people, between Tuma and our guy Qatada, the one who got robbed, and between our guy Zayd ibn al-Sami. That's how it started. That's the first thing. Here's the first point. The second is that the Prophet started. This is the source, and I'll tell you about it now. He was about to cut off whose hand? Our guy Zayd ibn al-Sami, exactly. Then the verse was revealed. It told him, no, what are you doing? Zayd didn't steal. The one who stole was Tuma. That's the whole idea. I hope I was able to explain it simply. Verse 105 that we're talking about is really beautiful. So, what does this whole thing mean? Aha. Do not be an advocate for the traitors. This means, don't argue against the Jews just for the sake of one of the Ansar, who is Tuma, because Zayd ibn al-Sami was Jewish. But Tuma was from the Ansar. That's what the verse is telling him. So that's the idea, basically. Yeah, that's actually the main reason for the revelation, you know. So, what's the source here? The source is Zad al-Mazir fi ilm al-Tafsir by Ibn al-Jawzi. Alright, the question here is, what's the connection between this verse and the one before it? I mean, do you know what came before it? He was talking to me about the prayer of fear, and about how one group guards another group, and all those things, and also encouraging the believers to call out the polytheists to battle so they could restore their dignity after what happened, defend themselves, and improve their image after what happened at the Battle of Uhud. And all of that. And here, it suddenly shifts to something completely different, about a guy who stole a weapon from someone, and the Prophet wanted to cut off the hand of the one who didn't actually steal. So you find this coming down. What does this have to do with that? What's the connection between verse 105 and everything that came before it? I mean, we started with 101, 102, 103, 104. They have absolutely nothing to do with 105. That's the point. Honestly, I don't understand. You could comment and say, no, there is a connection. Who told you what it is? Explain. If you insult, fine, give us the answer. Give us the connection. 106. And seek forgiveness from God. Indeed, God is ever forgiving, merciful. There are two opinions here. Is God telling him, ask forgiveness, Muhammad, and don't hit that Jew? Who was that? Al-Kalbi and Muqaddil say that it means, ask forgiveness, Muhammad, and don't defend Tama al-Ansari. Alright, there are two opinions. Here's the verse. The verse was revealed saying to him, ask forgiveness from God. Indeed, God is ever forgiving, merciful. That's the idea. So, one says that ask forgiveness is directed from God to the Prophet Muhammad, telling him to seek forgiveness and not to cut off the Jew's hand. And the other says, no, it means ask forgiveness and don't defend Tama. Who's the source? Al-Kashf wa al-Bayan by Al-Dalabi, page 107. And do not argue on behalf of those who deceive themselves. Indeed, God does not love anyone who is treacherous and sinful. What does that mean? It means, O Muhammad, the one who stole the armor was Tama, not the Jew, and God is making that clear, and the Jew is innocent, and God does not love Tama. It's saying that God does not love Tama because he betrayed himself and stole more than once. Tama had done this before. O Muhammad, pay attention, that's the point. Who's the source? Tafsir Kitab Allah al-Aziz by al-Hawari, that's it. 108. They try to hide from people, but they cannot hide from God, and He is with them when they plot at night what He does not approve of, and God encompasses what they do. What does that mean? It means that they are ashamed in front of people, but they are not ashamed before God, nor do they fear God's punishment. Even though God is the one they should truly be ashamed before and fear His punishment, because God knows best what they conceal, that is, what they plot or hide, since they are scheming. That is, the group who were with Tama were plotting to accuse the innocent man, who was the Jew Zayd ibn al-Samin. And they give false testimony in favor of whom? In favor of Tama. Here, the discussion is about Tama's people and what they did because of their argument and because they took Tama and helped him escape, since the Prophet couldn't get hold of him. By the way, the Prophet wasn't able to punish Tama for his theft. So what he wants to say is that all these schemes they're doing, accusing an innocent person and helping someone escape, where do they think they'll go to escape from God? That's the point. I mean, if they're helping him escape in this world, where will they go to escape from God in the hereafter? That's why this verse was revealed. Honestly, the incident with Tama has gotten much attention, more than it deserves. So many verses about one incident. But the main source is Ru al-Mani. Al-Alusi, page 109. Here you are, arguing on their behalf in this worldly life. But who will argue with God for them on the day of judgment, or who will be their protector? Keep in mind, Ubay ibn Kabi used to recite this verse in a completely different way. By the way, I hope that one day I can put the verses on the screen for you. I actually started learning the editing program so I could put the verses on the screen for you so you can compare the two readings and things like that in the future, and I'm trying. Yes. How did Abdullah ibn Abi Talib read it? Abdullah. My father Ibn Ka'b. I'm sorry, how did Abi ibn Ka'b read it? Regarding reading this verse, he was saying, you guys argued about it, but the verse doesn't say that, right? Who cares what the verse says? The verse says, are these the ones you argued on behalf of? No. Abi ibn Ka'b says that you argued about him one by one. So, who will argue with God? That part is in the verse, but what's not there is. Knower of the unseen and the seen, that's not there, okay, on the day of judgment. What's there is, when God takes him with his punishment and puts him in the fire. That's not there. Alright then. So, what's left is the remaining part, like, or who will be a guardian over them. So, honestly, Here's my question about this particular reading. If we put this verse, the reading of Yubay ibn Kabi, in place of the verse currently in the Quran, if we swap this one for that one, what would happen in the world? Would it give the same meaning? On the contrary, it's actually more detailed and clearer than what's there now. So, what do you think? Alright, so what I mean is, the Quran is flexible enough that you can discuss and engage with it. It's not a big problem, really. Okay, that's the truth. Okay, he says it was reading. My father Ibn Ka'b. There are additions to the verse that Abi ibn Ka'b read with additions that are not currently present in the verse in the book. The Quran in our hands is complete. The reason for the revelation is that the Prophet also liked it. Whose hand did the Prophet want to cut off? The Prophet wanted to cut off the hand of Al-Tami, yes. So his people, they ran away, took him and escaped. And then after that, they said it was the Jew who was the thief because they found the armor in his house. And pay attention, basically, at the very beginning, the accusation was against Tama. So the Prophet wanted to cut off his hand, but his family and his tribe defended him and insisted on his innocence, and they took him and ran away. So the Prophet said, whose hand should we cut off? Should we cut off the hand of Zayd ibn al-Sami, the Jew, the one in whose house we actually found the armor, the evidence of the crime? You see, so what does the verse say to him? It tells him this. So what happened here is, why was the verse revealed? That's the idea. So when they took him and defended him, they helped him escape and all that. The verse is telling them, if you manage to help him escape and defend him in this world, and all that stuff, then what are you going to do with God in the hereafter, after you argued with the Prophet Muhammad and all these things? That's the whole story, basically. That was the reason for the revelation. And that was also the meaning. In short, that's what it means. You defended Tuma, the thief. And you helped Tuma, the thief, escape. You defended him in this world, and you argued because of him in this world. So what will you do about him, or for his sake, before God in the hereafter? That's it, very simply. All right. Who is saying this? Who is the source? The source is Al-Tafsir Al-Kabir by Imam Al-Tabarani. Not Al-Tabari, Al-Tabarani, number 110. And this is the last one. And whoever does evil or wrongs himself then seeks God's forgiveness, he will find God forgiving, merciful. The meaning is simple, and I have no questions or anything about it. It simply means that someone who steals, like Tuma for example, then repents to God. That is, he repents and seeks God's forgiveness and all that. God will forgive his sins, whatever they are. Exactly. So the verse is encouraging Tuma and his tribe to repent so they can attain God's mercy, pleasure, and forgiveness in the hereafter. What verse is this? It's verse 110, and honestly, I don't have any questions about it or anything. So that's the source. Mahasin al-Tawil. Mahasin al-Tanzil. Mahasin al-Tanzil by Muhammad Jamal al-Din al-Qasimi. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you next Friday.